Good morning. My name is Tolu. I'm 19 years old and I needed something to post before I turned 20 so I could say I started it as a teenager. Okay, AITA. Am I the a-hole for not wanting our friend to ever come back to our house after he ate literally everything we owned? Well, that's funny. My husband and I lived abroad earlier this year. A mutual acquaintance, let's call him K, reached out saying he'd been scammed with an apartment and rental and had nowhere to stay. At first, we only offered a weekend, but he was polite, helping around the house, and seemed grateful. So we ended up letting him stay the full 20 days he asked for. Okay, seems pretty standard at the moment. Um, During that time, some things rubbed us the wrong way. He never bought groceries, and multiple times he pretended he was going to pay but forgot his wallet, or claimed he could only use Apple Pay, not accepted at our local supermarket. He'd eat way more than his share. Once my husband and I shared half a pizza and he ate the other pizza and a half without contributing. Still, we felt bad for him, so we let it go. Wait, so they got two pizzas and he ate one and a half of them and two people only ate half? Oh, that's crazy. If she ate a quarter and he ate a quarter, why'd the friend eat 5 times that? We stayed friendly, and a few months later, we were planning a 17-day trip. Since he was struggling with rent, we offered him to stay at our place in exchange for taking care of our dog. I even wrote a Google Doc with instructions for the house, dog care, gym access, etc. I told him he could eat anything that was going to expire, fruits, veggies, yogurt, etc. Okay, standard, valid. When we came back, everything was gone, and I mean everything. The entire fridge, freezer, pantry. He finished 2 jars of jam, a jar of peanut butter, a giant Costco bottle of olive oil, condiments, rice, snacks, cheese, even my husband's supplements. Oh, crazy. Creatine, protein, collagen. He completely destroyed a ceramic pan. He consumed things that usually last us 6 months in just 2 weeks. I honestly suspect he might have taken stuff with him because it's insane how much was missing. Oh, wow. You know, so gluttony is a sin. I didn't confront him except ask him to replace the pan, which he mocked me about. It's just a pan, why are you making it a big deal? I feel deeply disrespected. Now he keeps texting me, acting like nothing happened, and wants to hang out. I told my husband I don't want him in our home ever again. My husband says I'm being too harsh, and if he wants to stay friends, that's his choice. But I feel completely taken advantage of and disrespected. So, AITA for not wanting to see this guy ever again and refusing to let him come back into our house. NTA. Bro, what? You're telling me you... You gotta be mindful, especially when you're taking someone else's food. Usually what I do is I ask if I can finish it, and if they say no, they say no. Like, you're taking all their food? Someone said he didn't consume it all in that time. He emptied your place and took it back to his to last him a while. He stole from you like he was on a shopping spree. Yeah, I didn't even pick that up, but that makes sense. Like, another commenter mentioned the olive oil. Like, why would you take a whole, like, thing of olive oil that would make sense for you to finish? Yeah, it just seems like you have a leech. You gotta just, like, cut them all. Maybe not, like, completely, but just, like, you're not gonna be using our resources, you know? So this person was dubbed the a-hole, unfortunately. Let's see. Am I the a-hole if I tell my son's stepmother she can't go to the mother-son dinner? So my 15-year-old son has a mother and son dinner event with his football team. I'm obviously planning to go as it'd be nice bonding time, and well, I'm his mother. Today my son told me that my ex's wife was planning to go, but she didn't say a word to me about it. In all honesty, I don't want her to go. Yes, she's been in my son's life the past like 5 years or so, but she's not his mom, nor did she have the respect to call, text me, and ask how I felt about it. Would I be the a-hole if I had politely told her I didn't want her to go? I'm just really conflicted. Why can't you both go, you know? Like, she's been in his life for 5 years, that's a decent amount of time, and I'm assuming he's probably like younger, you know? It's probably like maybe a third of his life, half of his life even. I do think it's weird she didn't mention anything to you, but so there's an edit. Thank you for your comments. You made me realize it's not really my event, but that it's my son's, so he should decide. He said he'd like us both to go, which is perfectly fine with me. I'm human and my feelings are clouded with judgment. I actually really appreciate Reddit for this. Sometimes you can't see the entire picture. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I mean, this seems like a good learning experience for her. I don't think a lot of people on this page are actually like really that bad. I think people are just looking for guidance, and This really clarified her insight, I guess, and I'm assuming they both won. Shouldn't have been a problem. Someone said, I see your edit and I just want to say good for you. You put your son first. You're a good mom. YTA if she like did carry it out, but it seems like it's an NTA situation, how like she improved on her outlook. Am I the a-hole for throwing my nephew out of my family party? Bro, I can't read. Let me get my glasses. Bro, my roommates are probably like, what is he doing? For some context, me, male 53, and my family live in the South, specifically Charleston, South Carolina. A year back, my son Jake, male 20 now, started attending the University of South Carolina. Go Gamecocks! And during his freshman year, he met a lovely girl named Monique, also 20 years old. Monique is, as her name suggests, African American. Our family's Caucasian. Wait, I didn't even know Monique was an African American name. Isn't that like French? Like, I do know it's common in African American circles, but it's a French name, short for Monica.
Hello, honey, can you say hi to my friend Monica?
But neither me nor anyone else in my intermediate family has had an issue with that. She's sweet, beautiful, and overall an incredible young woman, and we all accepted her with open arms from the first time we met her. A week ago, my wife and I held a party at her home, and Jake and Monique both made the trip from college to attend. The party was going well until I noticed Jake and Monique were alone and Monique was crying. I asked him what had happened, and Monique told me that Jake's cousin Greg, male 17, had told him that he shouldn't slim it. Ooh. And called Monique a ghetto. Ooh, among other racist remarks. I went to Greg and he admitted to this, saying that he was just looking out for my cousin. At this point, I told him to leave and he and his parents left, but his parents have been on me as of late for blowing things out of proportion. This is a really nice mom, or dad. Also, I think it's really interesting that male 53, like, what are you 53 years old doing on Reddit? It seems like there's a lot of older people on here, but NTA, like, you're just a good dad, like protecting your son's girlfriend. Very good ally to the black community, seems like, in this instance. Edit. A lot of you are rightfully pointing out a bias I had when I assumed Monique was a predominantly African American name. I didn't know that it was a common French name as well, an associated name with black people, since all the Moniques I personally know have been black. I didn't mean anything by this, but in retrospect, I can see how this makes me sound bad, so I'll try and do better from here on out. Bro. Someone said, NTA, you address bigotry by setting boundaries and consequences. Your home, your rules, good job addressing it properly. You heard about it, you confirmed it to be fact. You enforced the consequences. Not surprised his parents were okay with it. You know who he learned it from. Edit Tad. But your comment about her name, though, might want to work on your own internalized racism. Monique is French. Everyone's commenting on that. I mean, I did too, but like, I didn't think it was that. This is by user SunshineMTN321. AITA for not stocking the fridge for my husband after his business trip. This is interesting off the bat. My husband went out of the country for a business trip and returned home over the weekend. I was out of town visiting friends when he returned. His gripe was that he was left with no food. For context, I do the majority of the grocery shopping, 90-10. Oh wow, and he does his share of other chores. Okay, so it's just split in different ways, okay? And she was out of town, so I guess that can make sense why I wasn't stocked. I've seen these like online, like on Instagram, like stocking the fridge from like these Nara Smith, I don't know, like trad wife type things. And they like make these like whole like pre-made like meal prepped, like the fridge is packed with meal prep for the husbands like going on business trips. So maybe that's what he expected. I don't know if like a precedent was set, like if that's what she usually does for him, but I guess I'll just keep reading. I admit there was not a refrigerator full of fresh food because I did not go to the store that week. However, I can attest that there was a freezer with several meals and a pantry with food that could have been prepared. Perhaps not what he was hoping for, but there were some options. Also, we live in a major city with plenty of grocery stores and restaurants within walking distance. Again, not ideal after red-eye international flight, but option. I mean, red-eye, wait, so I'm pretty sure those are the flights that like you get there really early to your location. So I could understand being a little annoyed, like you come home and there's nothing to eat in the fridge, but I guess you could just, I mean, walk is crazy. DoorDash or something. At first it wasn't a big deal, more of a joke. But when he repeatedly made jabs at me about it, I stood up for myself, and now it's a full-blown argument. We are both stubborn people. I can acknowledge that it would have been nice if I had stocked the fridge upon his return from the trip. However, I work a full-time job myself, and I see as we are both capable adults at providing food for ourselves when the other is busy. I've got to know, am I the a-hole in this situation? I will say it's interesting how gender plays into this. I feel like if it were the other way around.
If the roles were reversed.
But if it were the other way around, like there wouldn't be this expectation for the husband to meal prep all like food for her, or like, what was it again? Stock the fridge. So I'm assuming it's meal prepping. But at the same time, I feel like it's nice, like as like the significant other, that like your spouse is gonna be tired when they come back, and just have like a meal for them. I don't know about like a whole like but something I think would have been like a pretty cool. But I wouldn't say like YTA for this one. Like, you're not the a-hole. Someone said maybe we could start a GoFundMe to raise awareness for a side condition. Lol. Someone also said, who buys a bunch of perishable groceries when someone is going to be out of town? That makes sense. She was going to be out of town. Why would you buy, I guess I do think people are bringing up the gender thing a lot. I think like people can be, especially men, we don't need to be coddled, I guess. But I don't know. I think it's not like, I understand why you'd be annoyed. I feel like if I got home from a really late flight and there was no food in the fridge, I'd kind of be like, But people are just saying like he's an independent adult. And someone brought up a point like about if he ever went on business trips when he was single, like what did he do then? Which also valid. People, not everyone has a significant other to be making food for them. But I do think it is a really nice gesture as the spouse. I just think it should go both ways, Am I the a-hole for calling out my friend in front of others for saying you can't be fat and picky? My friend, let's call N, lives for drama and gossip. N always has something blunt or nasty to say, and honestly, at first it was fun, but now it's become draining. The constant drama she brings is frustrating. Today's drama was talking about one of our other friend's sisters. Let's call S. We were all married in our mid-20s in the friend group. Oh wow, that's cool. Mid-20s and all married. I mean, I guess that's 25. I'm thinking of like early 20s because that's where I'm approaching. But we're all married in our mid-20s in the friend group. S, nearly 30 years old, is not. I don't see a problem with it. She's living life and she's always a good time. S wasn't there, but her sister just mentioned that S broke up with her boyfriend because he raised too many red flags. Me and a few others said good for her while N tisked. Okay. We turned to N, who loudly exclaimed that she's not getting any younger and she needs to stop being so picky. The sister did agree, but she seemed a little skeptical of N's words. And that is true. I feel like a lot of people don't. They're complaining about them not being in relationships, but they're just very picky people. Like at a certain point, you kind of have to. But at the same time, I think like why settle for less when I'm sure you could have. Like some people don't really care. Like they'd either have all or nothing. I do think if you're complaining about it constantly, like then you gotta, something has to give, but still, it's a little weird, to say. And continued on by saying, S cannot be fat and picky. Everyone went silent, and a few awkward chuckles while N kept talking. Oh, wait, that's really awkward. N is a bigger lady, by the way, and she was the youngest married out of all of us at 20. Okay, so I guess she's fat too. Okay. Her husband is obsessed with her. She doesn't work or do anything around the house, and no kids. He literally cooks, cleans, and pays for everything. All he does is make fun of him all the time. A win's a win. I couldn't help it. I spoke up and told her she cannot be talking. And instantly glared at me and said, what the freak does that mean? I said that you got married to a guy who's obsessed with you and you're not skinny. Who are you to say that she should settle? Yeah, okay, that's valid. Yeah, like you got a very good situation. Like you didn't have to be like not picky. Like you got the best deal like possible. My friends, to their credit, did not agree or disagree. But N had a whole meltdown that I called her fat and that her relationship is different. I just left the party after that because I couldn't stand being around her anymore. She blocked me on all platforms, and a few friends said she brings me up anytime she possibly can. I just don't care. I'm tired of her. My husband said I could have been nicer. Am I the a-hole? I mean, you definitely could have been nicer. But like, she's a hypocrite, clearly. Then someone also replied, and it was like, being nicer could have had a better impact. Comebacks aren't as effective, I guess. Like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, you can communicate from love and compassion better than like a get back, But at the same time, I feel like someone also made the point that like oftentimes people get comfortable talking like this because their group has let it go on for so long, and you kind of just need to like cut it off. Okay, I'm done. Thanks for coming and watching the video. I hope you enjoyed.